Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Mastery by Robert Greene.
Oh, fascinating choice.
You might recognize Greene from his book, The 48 Laws of Power, but Mastery, this one takes a different approach.
Yeah, definitely. It goes beyond just, maneuvering for advantage.
Exactly.
It really digs into the core of what it takes to achieve true mastery in any field.
It's like he's trying to unlock the secrets of those historical figures who just seem to excel at everything.
Exactly. Think like Darwin, Benjamin Franklin,
Da Vinci.
Mozart, even.
It's like we're trying to understand not just what they achieved, but like the inner workings of their minds.
Yeah, how did they become masters?
What set them apart?
And the most fascinating part, Greene actually argues that each of us has the potential for that kind of mastery.
Not just being good at something,
Right.
but truly owning it.
Yeah, not just being competent, but reaching a level of excellence that seems almost superhuman.
Right, like becoming synonymous with your craft.
And he makes it very clear in the book, it's not some magic trick or a shortcut to success. It's a process, a deliberate path that anyone can follow if they're willing to put in the work.
Okay, so there's a method to the madness.
Absolutely. Greene outlines 3 distinct phases of mastery.
3 phases.
Yes.
Okay, I am officially intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
All right, so the first phase is all about connecting with what Greene calls your intuitive intelligence.
Intuitive intelligence, okay.
It's about tapping into those things you gravitate towards almost instinctively.
Okay.
Those subjects or activities that just spark your interest and keep you engaged even when things get tough.
So like that feeling when you get so absorbed in something that hours just fly by.
Exactly. That's it. That deep-seated interest, that passion that fuels your learning.
Got it.
It's often there since childhood, you know, like a natural inclination.
It's like that inner compass pointing you towards your true north.
Precisely. Think of Charles Darwin, obsessed with collecting specimens as a kid. Who knew that would lead to the HMS Beagle and revolutionizing our understanding of life itself?
It's amazing how those early passions can sometimes foreshadow our life's work.
Absolutely. And then you have Benjamin Franklin.
Oh, a true Renaissance man.
A man of insatiable curiosity.
Right. Statesman, scientist, inventor, the list goes on and on.
He just never stopped exploring, always pushing the boundaries of his knowledge.
But how do we know if it's just a passing fancy or a genuine signpost to our own life's task, as Greene calls it?
That's a great question.
Is it not true that most people are passionate about something?
Well, that's where the second phase of mastery comes in.
Okay.
Connecting to reality.
Ah, so it's not enough to just have the spark. You need to ground it in real-world experience.
Exactly. It's about taking that passion and channeling it into something tangible, something productive.
And that's where the ideal apprenticeship comes into play, right?
Precisely. Finding the right environment to hone your skills, to learn from those who have already mastered the craft.
It makes me think of Michael Faraday, going from a bookbinder's apprentice to one of the most influential scientists of his time.
A perfect example, and it was all thanks to his mentorship under Humphrey Davy at the Royal Institution.
That's incredible.
It shows how a good mentor can open doors you didn't even know existed.
And provide guidance and support that can make all the difference.
Absolutely. But it's not just about finding a guru and passively absorbing their wisdom.
Okay.
It's about actively engaging in the learning process, pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone.
So there's a certain amount of self-directed learning involved.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Greene actually breaks down the apprenticeship into 3 steps.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, deep observation.
All right.
This is where you mute your opinions, you quiet your mind, and you just observe.
Like a sponge, soaking it all in.
Exactly. Then comes skills acquisition, the practice mode.
Ah, so this is where the real work begins.
This is where you're gaining tacit knowledge, the kind of understanding that can only come from doing, from repetition, from embracing the tedious process of skill development.
So it's about putting in the hours, honing your craft.
Precisely. And finally, once you've laid that foundation, you move into the active mode. Experimentation.
Okay, so we're not just mimicking the master. We're taking what we've learned and making it our own.
Exactly. It's about daring to experiment, to push the boundaries of what you've been taught.
It's about finding your own voice, your own style.
Precisely. And it's not always easy, even for those who seem naturally gifted.
You're telling me.
Even Mozart, a musical prodigy from childhood, went through a creative crisis before truly finding his voice and achieving true mastery.
Wait, so even Mozart had to struggle?
Everyone faces challenges on the path to mastery.
That's actually kind of comforting to hear.
Yeah.
It means that even with natural talent, there's still this journey of pushing through limitations to achieve true mastery.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that mastery is not a destination, it's a lifelong pursuit.
So how do we actually go about unleashing this latent power within?
Well, that's where the third phase of mastery comes in.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Greene calls it cultivating the dimensional mind.
The dimensional mind. Okay.
It's about developing the ability to see problems and solutions from multiple angles, to think outside the box, to break free from conventional thinking.
I'm getting this mental image of breaking out of a box, shedding limitations, expanding your horizons.
Exactly. It's about becoming more than just a technician. It's about becoming a true innovator.
So how do we cultivate this dimensional mind? Is it something we're born with, or can we actively develop it?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Greene actually lays out 5 strategies for discovering your life's task, and then another 7 for navigating the ideal apprenticeship.
5 strategies for discovering our life's task.
Yes.
Plus 7 more for the apprenticeship.
That's right.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. But it sounds like a roadmap, a way to actually apply this mastery concept to our own lives.
Exactly.
Not just admire it from afar.
It's about taking these abstract concepts and turning them into actionable steps.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
It's about empowering yourself to achieve your full potential.
I can't wait to delve into these strategies.
Me neither.
This is going to be fascinating. 5 strategies for uncovering our life's task, plus 7 more for navigating the ideal apprenticeship. That's a lot to digest, but it sounds like we're getting a roadmap here.
Exactly. And the fascinating thing is that Greene connects these strategies back to the evolution of the human brain.
Okay, now you're really piquing my interest.
Think about our primitive ancestors. Going from hunter-gatherers to skilled hunters, they had to adapt, they had to develop new skills, and that shaped our brains in a profound way.
So you're saying we're hardwired for mastery. It's like this ancient knowledge is encoded in our DNA, just waiting to be tapped into.
You could say that. Greene argues that those early humans who were adaptable, observant, the ones willing to learn and experiment, they thrived.
Makes sense.
And those traits have been passed down through generations, shaping our potential for mastery today.
Wow. Okay, mind officially blown.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. But let's get practical for a moment.
Sure.
Of those 5 strategies for uncovering our life's task, where do we even begin?
Greene suggests starting by looking back at your childhood, those early interests and fascinations that might hold clues.
Okay.
Think of someone like Einstein, fascinated by a compass as a kid, who knew that would lead to unraveling the mysteries of the universe.
Right. It's like those early passions can sometimes foreshadow our destiny.
Exactly. It's about returning to those origins, those primal inclinations that might have gotten buried under years of societal conditioning.
So that dusty box of childhood treasures in the attic might actually be a treasure map to our destiny.
You never know. It's worth exploring those early interests to see if there are any recurring themes or patterns.
I love that. What else can we do?
Expand your horizons, step outside your comfort zone, try new things.
Okay.
Take Martha Graham, the mother of modern dance. She didn't discover dance until she had tried other fields. Sometimes our life's task finds us when we're least expecting it, if we're open to new experiences.
So it's not just about remembering the past, but also actively exploring the present.
Exactly. It's about being curious, adventurous, and willing to embrace the unknown.
What's next on the list?
This one is a bit of a mind bender. Reversing your perspective.
Reversing our perspective. Okay.
Uh-huh.
How do we do that?
Greene argues that our usual ways of thinking can actually limit us. We get stuck in routines and patterns that prevent us from seeing things in new ways.
I see. So we need to shake things up a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at Buckminster Fuller, the architect and futurist. He had this unique way of seeing the world, and that led to groundbreaking innovations.
So by shifting our perspective, we can literally unlock new possibilities.
Precisely. It's about challenging your assumptions, questioning your beliefs, and looking at things from different angles.
Okay, I'm picturing those optical illusions where the image changes depending on how you look at it.
That's a great analogy. It's about training your mind to see beyond the surface, to perceive the underlying patterns and connections.
This is fascinating stuff. But even with the clearest vision, there are bound to be obstacles, right?
Of course, no journey is without its challenges.
So how do we deal with setbacks and roadblocks along the way?
That's where trusting the process comes in.
Okay.
The path to mastery is rarely a straight line. It's more like a winding uphill climb with twists and turns along the way.
So setbacks are inevitable.
Absolutely. But it's about how we view those setbacks.
Not as failures, but as opportunities for growth.
Precisely. Each obstacle, each challenge is a chance to learn, adapt, and become more resilient.
I'm starting to see how this all ties together.
It's a holistic approach to personal development.
It is. What's the final strategy for discovering our life's task?
Is finding your way back.
Finding our way back to what?
Think of those passions you might have set aside, buried under adult responsibilities. Maybe it's time to dust them off, reconnect with what truly brought you joy.
That's beautiful. It's like Greene is giving us permission to reclaim those parts of ourselves that we might have lost touch with.
Exactly. It's about remembering who we are at our core, what makes us feel truly alive.
And once we have a sense of our life's task, that's where the ideal apprenticeship comes into play, right?
Precisely. But even finding the right apprenticeship has its own set of strategies, according to Greene.
Okay, so we've discovered our passion. Now we need to find the perfect training ground.
Exactly. It's like embarking on a quest.
I like that analogy. So what's the first rule of apprenticeship, according to Greene?
Value learning over money.
Don't get distracted by those short-term gains.
Exactly. Remember Benjamin Franklin? He chose an apprenticeship at a print shop over a more lucrative career because he was hungry for knowledge.
Talk about a long-term investment. It shows that prioritizing learning can pay off in ways you can't even imagine.
Absolutely. And just like Zora Neale Hurston, who went from maid to renowned writer, constantly expand your horizons, never stop learning, even when you think you've mastered something.
Right, it's like that saying, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly. True mastery is an ongoing journey, a constant evolution.
So how do we stay humble and keep learning without getting overwhelmed?
This one might sound counterintuitive. Revert to a feeling of inferiority.
A feeling of inferiority, okay? Explain that one.
It's about embracing a beginner's mindset, admitting that we don't know everything, and approaching learning with a sense of humility and wonder.
So it's about shedding our ego and being open to new perspectives.
Precisely. Daniel Everett, a linguist, had to shed his assumptions about language in order to learn the complex Pirahan language of the Amazon.
So by letting go of our preconceived notions, we could open ourselves up to new possibilities.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown, the unfamiliar, and approaching it with a sense of curiosity and openness.
That's powerful. But even with the right mindset, there are bound to be times when we feel discouraged, right?
Absolutely. That's where trusting the process comes in again.
Okay, so remind me, what's the key to trusting the process?
Remember Cesar Rodriguez, the pilot who overcame countless obstacles to achieve his dream? His unwavering belief in himself, his dedication to his goal, it's a powerful example of what perseverance can achieve.
It's inspiring, but also a bit daunting. I mean, not everyone can become a pilot.
True, but the principle applies to any field.
Okay, so how do we know we're on the right track when things get challenging?
Greene actually encourages us to move towards resistance and pain.
Wait, what? Move towards pain?
Not in a masochistic way, of course.
Okay, good.
But by embracing challenges that push us beyond our comfort zones.
I see.
Think of John Keats, pushing himself to write thousands of lines of poetry even when inspiration was scarce.
Right, it's about understanding that growth often happens in those moments of friction.
Exactly. It's about using resistance as fuel for our creative fire.
This is profound stuff. So we're embracing the struggle, pushing our limits, but what about those times when we feel stuck, when we hit a wall? Greene also talked about apprenticing yourself in failure, right? It sounds almost counterintuitive.
It is, but it's one of the most valuable lessons we can learn on the path to mastery.
It does, but I think I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
It's about shifting our perspective on failure, right? We tend to see it as a setback, a sign that we're not good enough.
Exactly. We see it as a negative.
But Henry Ford, with all his early automotive mishaps, proved that failure can be a stepping stone.
He really did.
Each stumble, a chance to learn, adapt, and come back stronger.
It's all about resilience.
It is. It's like we're building those resilience muscles.
Exactly.
Getting better at bouncing back each time.
You got it.
But how do we avoid getting stuck in that loop of trying and failing without making any real progress?
That's where Greene's final tip for the ideal apprenticeship comes in. Combine the how and the what.
The how and the what. Okay.
Think of someone like Santiago Calatrava, the architect and engineer.
Oh yeah, incredible structure.
He designs these amazing structures that are both beautiful and functional.
Form and function, the best of both worlds.
It's about blending theory and practice, finding that sweet spot where your skills and vision align.
So it's not just about mastering the technical skills, but also finding a way to express your unique vision, your own kind of flavor in the world, right?
Precisely. And what's fascinating is that Greene himself embodies this principle in mastery. He seamlessly weaves together history, science, psychology,
Absolutely.
creating this engaging tapestry of knowledge.
You're right. It's like he's showing us, not just telling us, how to integrate different forms of knowledge.
He's walking the walk.
He is. It makes the book so much more compelling than just a dry textbook.
Exactly. And that's what I love about Greene's approach. He doesn't just hand us a set of rules. He invites us to think critically, to challenge assumptions, and to ultimately forge our own path to mastery.
This deep dive has been mind-blowing. Mastery is so much more than just a self-help book. It's like a philosophical exploration of human potential.
He really is.
But for our listener who might be feeling a little overwhelmed by all these strategies and concepts we've discussed, what's the one key takeaway they should remember?
That's a good question.
What's the essence of it all?
I would say start with a simple question. What is your life's task?
Find your passion.
What are you truly passionate about? What makes you feel alive? Once you have a sense of that, all the other pieces start falling into place.
It's about finding that North Star, that guiding light that illuminates your path.
Exactly. And remember, the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Embrace the challenges, the setbacks, even the moments of doubt.
Those are the experiences that shape you, refine you, and ultimately lead you closer to mastery.
This has been an incredibly inspiring conversation. I'm walking away feeling like I have a renewed sense of purpose and possibility.
Me too.
And I hope our listeners feel the same.
I hope so too. And remember, mastery isn't reserved for a select few. It's a journey we can all embark on.
Absolutely. So go out there, find your passion, hone your skills, and never stop learning.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Robert Greene's mastery.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it as insightful and empowering as we did.
Until next time.
Keep striving for excellence.